Hi, good evening, friends. Yesterday, in one of my posts, I had assured Shekhar that I will be sharing a video with you which will provide you important information and content relating to the Agricultural Reform Bill, about which a lot is being discussed, be it in the clubhouses, be it in the playgrounds, be it in social media discussions, etc. And a lot of that is happening in that area. I think the only source of information for us as far as this particular topic or any other topic of national importance currently is concerned is more little bit through newspapers and vernacular journals, and large part of that is through the WhatsApp and other social media discussions. And as you know, all those discussions in the social media will have a large component of personal opinions, political affiliations, etc., etc., and a little bit of content. Today, I'm trying to reverse that trend, typically bringing more and more of content into it and little bit of political affiliations and personal opinions. Though I want to hide, somewhere subconsciously it will come out, and I will keep you prepared for that eventuality well in advance. So in order to make this video, let me tell you what I did. In fact, I am training some IAS aspirants who have gone through, got through the preliminary examinations. The results were announced recently, and they're all preparing for the main examinations. And current affairs is one of the important topics which always come in the main examination. And along with that, even in the interviews, to get through interviews, they have to talk a lot on current affairs. It will help them also in the process, and that's one of the objectives for creating this video. Now, before we delve into that subject further, I would like to place in context one of our ambitions of the Honorable Prime Minister, which he shared with the complete nation around 3 years back, which is to double the farmers' income by 2022. So if you look at that framework, the doublings of income of the farmers by 2022 is absolutely not possible if the reforms do not take place. And keeping that in mind, he had come out with a 7-point agenda. So before we discuss this issue, it is important for us to understand what those 7 points are. Very, very logically constructed points, 7 points, which starts with agricultural reforms. That's number one, which typically talks about two important things, which is the ENAM and the APMC. ENAM stands for Electronic National Agricultural Market, which is kind of an online system which is available across the length and breadth of the country. That is ENAM. We will talk a little bit about ENAM in the subsequent part of our presentation. And the second is APMC. APMC is Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee. A lot of that, a lot of things are being discussed about this particular organization, and it's not created recently. It has been there in the past also, but a lot of changes have been done in order to make it a little more effective. That's the number one, which is the reform side. The second part of that typically talks about reduction of input costs. Typically in the context of agriculture, when you talk about input costs, it is about the cost of your seed, what is the cost of planting those seeds, preparing the area, cost of fertilizers, pesticides, etc., etc. Whole lot of things which come into it, which typically talks about reducing the cultivation cost, because that's one of the important input costs. Next is production efficiency. Like we have in manufacturing industries, here also you have a production efficiency, and here we are talking of the efficiency in terms of irrigation. What kind of an irrigation do you use? Drip irrigation, etc., etc. Are you planting water intensive crops? It also talks about crop rotations, the latest technologies which are being used, etc., etc. So typically about the reform, it's about reducing the input costs, which is about improving your efficiency. And once things are harvested, the most important thing is how do you reduce the after harvest losses. And one of the main components of reducing after harvest losses is through a proper storage mechanisms. We have learned a lot that in the past years, not just in the past, it's been happening for quite some time. lots of food grains and other things are getting rotted in the Food Corporation of India godowns. What is the reason for that? The only reason is because proper maintenance is not there. Certain important things that need to be done for storages are not being done, and we don't have enough storage facilities. This also includes storage facilities when you talk of post harvest measures. So typically in terms of your warehouses, in terms of your cold storage, etc., a lot of things need to be done. Improvements have to be done. That's number 4. The 5th is in terms of value additions. Value additions, typically we have value added tax. We do value additions all the time. Example for that is, does a farmer sell tomato as tomato, or it can be further processed? Tomato can be made into a tomato sauce. It can be made in the form of tomato puree. You add value into it. So when we talk about value addition in this context, I always remember this example, because in one of the recent training programs in Container Corporation, we had discussed whole number of things. We had talked about models of logistics, Professor Kano's model, conceptual frameworks in terms of logistics, waterworks, railworks, roadworks. What is the cost per tonnage per kilometer in road, rail, waterways? A lot of things are discussed, but there was one specific point which every participant liked, and it was a very simple concept which I gave from the agricultural field. We talked about 1 kg of potato, 1 kg of onion, 1 kg of carrots, and 1 kg of tomatoes, 20 rupees each. So totally it makes 60 rupees, and you have 3 kilograms. Then my example was, you make this 10 kilo. If you had sold 3 kilograms as vegetables, you could have sold for 60 rupees. But instead, there was a guy, what he did was, he cut those 1 kg tomatoes in a round form, in a very presentable form. He did the same for onions, he did the same for carrot. He cut that. A little bit of, he added the salt and made each one of that into 100 grams per plate. So typically 100 grams means a mix of all these three. He was able to make 30 plates. And he sold each plate for 10 rupees per plate. And he sold it for 300 rupees. Now if you look at it, if he had sold it as just 1 kg tomato and 1 kg onion and 1 kg carrot, he could have sold that for 60 rupees. But with this value addition, and value addition is not much. It was just cutting. There was no baking it. There was no cooking. Nothing of that sort was involved in that. He just cut them and made it into 10 different plates and sold each plate for 10 rupees. And it's a question of 300 rupees, which is 60 rupees staff. He sold it for 300 rupees, and value addition wasn't very great. So which means 60 to 300 is 400 times. Sorry, 400% returns. 400% returns in one day. That was the value addition he did. Okay, that was a small example. So we were talking about Container Corporation of India. People liked this example very much. So in this context of value addition, we are talking about what kind of value additions can be done, in which we are talking about food processing. We are also talking about how many other ways farmers can add value to their existing crop and sell it for higher prices. And the 6th aspect, important aspect, is about risk, security and assistance, which typically talks about your crop insurance. Many a times farmers suffer the natural perils like unseasonal rains, etc., and of course they're all provided by insurance. And then finally it talks about the allied sectors, because every time we talk about agriculture, it is not just rice and wheat alone, but it involves a lot of other things like your dairy farming, your beekeeping, and your horticulture, etc., all these form part of this. So typically when the Prime Minister said one of his the government's missions would be to double the farmers' income by 2022, it includes agriculture, of course, with all these allied. So putting it in short, there are 7 important points, starting with major changes in the agricultural reforms, which we have been continuing for the last 7 decades or so. Second is input reduction of the input costs. The enhancement of production efficiencies was the third one. The fourth one we were talking about was reduction of post-harvest losses, and then we talked about value addition, which is the fifth, and then risk mitigation insurance exercises like crop insurance, and then of course seventh would be the allied activities. So the Prime Minister's agenda to double the farmers' income by 2022 typically focused on these 7 parameters. So this sets the background for this agricultural reform bill, about which I will be providing some details right now. But along with that, we also need to see 2 important committees which have worked on this. One is Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who is a very known figure in the field of agriculture. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, and he had come out with a detailed report in 2006. One of the important points, of course, it was a big report running into hundreds and hundreds of pages, so we wouldn't be dwelling into all aspects of that. But one of the most important points that he stressed was that farmers should be given a price which is 50% more than the average cost of production. A host of calculations, he had come out with some regression models with econometrics, etc. Those are all mathematical models, and we don't want to get into the intricacies and nuances of all that. But typically he gave a formula in terms of how you can calculate the MSP, which is 50% more than the average weighted cost of production. That was Dr. M.S. Swaminathan's major recommendation as far as it was concerned, and it's more than 15 years, I guess. It was done in the year 2006 or 2007. And the second guy was Shanta Kumar, a great agricultural economist. In fact, we have researched, we have gone through a lot of his materials. I personally have gone through a lot of his works when I was preparing for my PhD. And his basic point was simple. And one of the most important recommendations of Shanta Kumar committee was that he said that more than 85% of the farmers in our country, irrespective of the state is concerned, belong to the small sector. So typically when you're talking about farmers in the small sector, many of them are not even aware that something like a minimum support price exists in the market, and most of them, they have to sell their produce to the intermediaries. That's one of the most important points, and many of them are not even aware of this concept. And in his recommendation, he had clearly mentioned that most of the small time farmers are being exploited by the intermediaries and the mandis and your agricultural produce market committees. This has been happening for quite a long time, and you don't have a very robust structure where the farmers have benefited out of it. If at all somebody got benefit out of it, it is only the rich farmers. They took all the benefits of these things, and the lower people, the poor farmers, have always been exploited. That was one of the very clear recommendations that had come out of the Shantaram committee. So keeping these 3 things in the background, which is one about some past history, how things have happened, and then this Prime Minister's ambitions in terms of doubling the farmers' income by 2022, those 7 points that we talked about, and then the recommendations given by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan and about the minimum price, amongst many things, but that's the most important that we will be discussing. And then the Shanta Kumar's recommendations in terms of poor farmers and how they are being exploited, and how a majority % of them are not even aware of those government schemes. And one of his recommendations was to improve the awareness levels, to improve the education, etc., to improve your quality of training to those farmers. And he suggested that that is the best way forward to bring in a lot more efficiencies if you really think of improving the farmers' welfare. Now, as regards this agricultural bill that we are talking about, we have to look at 3 important bills juxtaposed with one another. Otherwise, we will not get a complete understanding. So the 3 things that we will be talking about is farmers' empowerment and protection on price assurance and farm services. Quite a long word. That is number 1. And secondly, we have to talk about farming produce, trade and commerce. That is the second one, which talks about promotion and facilitation. And the third one we should be talking about is the Essential Commodities Amendment Act. Unless we look at all the three of these regulations together, we will not get a complete idea. So we are going to talk about the first aspect of it, which is about empowerment and protection. So now when you typically talk about empowerment and protection, the next question that comes to our mind is protection from what? Now we have to look at the basics. Protection from exploitation. So exploitation typically means the farmer sells his food grains to the supplier, and in the process the farmer needs to be protected from price. Okay, for example, if a farmer negotiates with a buyer a ton for X price, he must be protected. There has to be some kind of a legal framework which will protect the farmer in case the money is not credited.